Member of Parliament for the National Alliance says he is concerned that employees are not being paid their salaries. Minister of Justice says stringent controls will be enforced during the next few weeks. But first up, Prime Minister of St. Martin says she had a very constructive meeting with the White Clue. Those are the headlines for Wednesday, June the 10th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a packed newscast, so let's get started. And in our first story, the Prime Minister of St. Martin, the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, speaking at the Council of Ministers weekly press briefing this morning, Wednesday, said that she met with members of the Windward Islands Chamber of Labour Unions to discuss the proposals brought forward to her. The Prime Minister said it was a very constructive meeting. One of the issues that was brought forward is that of employers who are not being honest.
As you may know, we had a meeting with the White Clue last evening as a Council of Ministers, the Windward Island Chamber of Labour Unions, which I must say was a very positive meeting. The unions came not just in our previous meetings, as you may know, some people may be confused. We've had several meetings, but that was with unions related to the civil servants that work for government. Even though the other unions were in those meetings, they did not necessarily have a say at the table as we were dealing with our employees, and the CCSU being the conduit for the membership of the unions that represent civil servants. Those meetings also have to be finalized in terms of the final letters have to still be sent into the unions related to their last proposal, and that is being finalized. And our meeting yesterday with the WICLU, the WICLU, last evening was attended by all 7 that had requested the meeting, as well as the Council of Ministers, and we were able to have a very positive discussion on abuses within the labor force. What came forward, and is a great concern to the Council of Ministers as well, is employers that may not be honest in receiving funding through our SSRP and passing it on to their employees. Employees must utilize, that came out of it, the Office of Labor Affairs to ensure that they can be represented and that the complaints are filed at the proper instance. The Labor Office is the entity that deals with complaints, and we encourage each and every employee who has been mistreated during this period or at any period to go through the process. Our Minister of Labor, even though he's not here today, also reiterated that he would be following up on all these complaints. The unions wanted more frequent dialogue with the Council of Ministers. Apparently, prior to 10-10-10, there was an MOU in place. They are to provide government currently with that MOU so that we can have a look at it and see how we can better formalize the communication between the Windward Island Chamber of Labour Unions and Government of St. Martin. What is clear is that they have a lot of information from their representatives, which they are inclined to share with us, and the minister will follow up within short with a meeting with the Chamber of Labour Unions, and we as government can assure that our governing program has a very high regard for our sustainable development goals, that the objectives of our government are in line with the sustainable development goals, and we can sit once we have published that governing program together with all stakeholders to see how the necessary filling in and execution can be done cooperatively and collaboratively. It is clear that between the unions and government, there is rapport, there is open communication, and we look forward to continued collaboration, as definitely the fight is not on the ground between us, but the fight is to ensure that our kingdom partners recognize the rights of our workers, recognize the rights of St. Martin as a sovereign country within the kingdom, and that we together will stand as one.
And the Prime Minister also gave an update about the latest COVID-19 cases on the island. She said that there are 2 cases that is of concern. One is currently in the medical pavilion and the other is a critical patient. She elaborates.
As of June 8th, I've been updated that the COVID-19, the medical pavilion now has 2 patients admitted, one in COVID in the tent and one in the medical pavilion. There is a critical patient that was admitted last night, and that was June 9th. And the person is not yet known whether to be positive or not, but he has been admitted, or the person has been admitted. I don't know the gender, and the test results are pending. Another patient who has been positive for some time, I believe it's the last patient, has been regrettably readmitted to the medical pavilion due to non-COVID related, non-COVID related medical issues. He has been in and out, and we pray for his recovery and wish the family much strength in dealing with this new reality, as well as the previous illness that this patient is dealing with. And I want to respect, of course, the privacy of the families, but many people got in touch with me after last week's press briefing, and it is mainly because of the emotions that were shown during that press briefing, and it is very difficult sometimes to remain objective and to remain positive in the light of suffering. And so my heart seriously goes out to all those who have lost a loved one as a result of COVID-19 or any other illness, especially during this past time, as it is not a normal time to be able to mourn properly, to go through the stages of grief. And as Government St. Martin, even as we de-escalate, we want you to know that we will continue to remember each and every lost soul and are trying to get in contact with the family members, those that want to be identified and those that want to remain anonymous. Can remain anonymous, of course, that is your right, but we will commemorate the memory of our 15 fallen soldiers and give love and light to the families as they continue to deal with the grief and the loss that they deal with every day, on top of all the other stresses related to COVID and the economy.
And still in news from the weekly press briefing of the Council of Ministers, Minister of Justice Anna Richardson at this morning's weekly Council of Ministers press briefing expounded on the immigration controls. She said that stringent measures taken to protect the population during the health pandemic of COVID-19, that stringent controls will be enforced during the next few weeks and months to protect our ports and our borders.
The stringent measures taken to protect the population during the health pandemic of COVID-19. As Minister of Justice, I would like to hereby advise the general public that immigration laws of St. Martin will be strictly enforced in the coming weeks, months, and thereafter. As such, the Immigration and Border Protection Services will be collaborating with the Ministry of VSA and the Civil Registry Department to ensure that persons who are in possession of work and residence permits still meet the conditions of which they have acquired said permits. As we share this land with France, as minister responsible for the protection of our ports and surrounding borders, I plan to initiate discussions with the French authorities to identify a plan of approach to strengthen the surveillance and protection of certain points of entry used by some visitors to enter the country and reside illegally on the island. Persons who currently reside in St. Martin without legal documentation are advised to start making the necessary provisions to voluntarily leave the country or run the risk of getting detained and deported to their country of origin. St. Martin took a hard hit with Hurricane Irma, and now with COVID-19 causing an increase in job loss, with numerous businesses having to close their doors or scale down their operations. Our National Ordinance of Admissions and Expulsions regulates the revoking of residence permits for persons who no longer meet the conditions under which their residence permit was granted. The ordinance also regulates the revoking of permanent residence permits for persons who are not living on St. Martin but are living abroad. Though St. Martin is the friendly island and welcome all visitors, Illegal activities will no longer be tolerated.
And still to come, members of Parliament for the National Alliance says the condition left at Muddy Bay Beach is deplorable. I'll have the details of that story and much more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now in other news at this time, the Nature Foundation St. Martin was informed about a massive amount of littering which took place at Mullet Bay over the weekend. The trash contained many different types of single-use plastics, including styrofoam, beer bottles, cans, boxes, and much more. Car tracks on the beach were also found. Driving over the beach could cause serious damage to sea turtle nests, with a very high likeliness of total nest destruction due to parking and driving on the beach. Considering the lack of tourists on the island, it is clear that residents of St. Martin should take the responsibilities and accountability for this mess left behind and learn to clean up what they bring. Education and responsibility need to be taken up by our residents. Leaving this mess behind clearly shows the lack of awareness and responsibility for our environment by certain residents. Everyone should understand that they could seriously harm our ecosystem by littering, causing a horrible scene and damage to our island's image. Noticing the large amount of plastics on the beach, a ban on single-use plastics is very much needed in St. Martin, and all businesses should move to reusable and biodegradable alternatives instead. People need to dispose of their trash responsibly, which means in a trash bin and not on the beach, in the environment, or on public roads. Wind and rain can cause a significant amount of these plastic straws, cups, and trash to end up in our ocean and environment. Therefore, we are asking all residents to dispose of their trash properly, and if bins are overloaded and overflowing, take your trash to another bin or container, stated Nature Foundation manager Melanie Meyer-Zoos-Lochten in part in a press release. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, Mr. George Pontiflet, also addressed the issue.
Is the issue of the Mullet Bay Beach. Apparently some persons went there, whatever, to maybe get some kind of relaxation. But when they left, the condition in which they left the beach is deplorable. And I really hope that government is not blamed for that, because again, there's a thing called civic responsibility. And I believe that this was not done by those visitors that went to the beach. Now, these are the times when one would understand why is it that sometimes persons say that this is a private property and they don't want anyone to go to the beach. But as we all know, the beach is a public place for all of us to go and enjoy ourselves. I believe, in my opinion, that what government can do, because again, government is blamed for everything, and of course there are certain things definitely is our responsibility. But it seems as if we'll have to put a security guard, 1 or 2, on the beach to make sure when persons are leaving that they leave the beach in the condition in which they have met it. So I want to say to those that left the beach in that condition, I'm ashamed of you. It was deplorable, it was unhygienic, and it was irresponsible. So I hope that this kind of behavior does not continue again in the future.
The Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, George Pontiflet, says that what is of extreme importance to him is the issue that certain employees are not being paid their salaries. Many employers have not paid their employees. Many employers have paid their workers less, and many employers has even dismissed some of their employees. According to the Member of Parliament, he believes that the employers are running from paying the taxes. He clarified further and issued a warning.
Of extreme importance is the issue of the workers who are not being paid their salaries. As we all know, government took the initiative to set up what you call a stimulus relief plan in order to assist businesses and persons who would have lost revenues because of COVID-19. What has happened? Many employers have not paid the employees. Many employers have paid employees less than what is supposed to pay them. Many employers have even dismissed employees, and many employers have also have not met or kept the conditions stipulated in their contracts. Why do I say this? I'm receiving complaint after complaint with persons who said that the employers tell them, yes, they have not received any funds from government and therefore they cannot be paid. To them I said, that is not correct. It is the employer's responsibility to pay 100% of the salaries of their employees. What government did is set up that SSRP plan in order to assist employers or even individuals who, because of this, have lost revenues. In other words, what they should do, they should have done, which was told from way back in March, submit your documentation in order to verify that you have lost revenues. Whatever you can pay, you pay it, but then government will pay the difference. It's not so that you, as an employer, would wait on government to pay you, number one, and secondly, pay the employee as you feel. Article 6 of the labor laws are very clear on that employers are responsible to pay 100% of the salaries. Now, to the issue of those that are not paying at all. Again, they're breaking the law. And I think one of the things that is happening right now, they think it is business as usual. Let me say this to you. It will not be business as usual. Government, Parliament is busy right now setting things in place because we're dealing with COVID and other related issues. But I can assure you that legislation will be put in place in order to make sure that these are met, and those that are there will be strengthened. One of the things I've understood and realized on St. Martin, it has been ongoing for years, and this is why, again, the Dutch government is putting pressure on St. Martin, and in this instance, even though I don't agree with them, in this instance they are right. Because if employers don't pay the employees, if employers don't register the employees, if employers don't pay the taxes, the premiums that they have to pay, where do you think government will get its revenues from? So again, it is important that you do this thing because it is irresponsible of you as an employer not to pay employees, not to adhere to the contracts, to pay them less than what they deserve, and then you look towards government for assistance. But government derives her monies from taxes. If you don't pay, then what are you doing? You're causing a vicious cycle. Keep in mind, employers who are doing this, that government has to repay this money. You don't have to, but government has to repay this money back to the Dutch government under some very strict conditions. Measures that had been taken by government that were very difficult because of the fact that it called for reduction of salaries of those who are working, like the frontliners, police officers, civil servants, and so on, in order to help those who are not working. And what you are doing, you are adding to the frustration and the mental stress of the people by behaving this manner. I am going to say this word. I'm going to warn you. Why do I say warn? Many years ago, I warned against this kind of situation of where employers, and then I'm not generalizing. I'm saying employers are those who are doing this practice, and if the shoe fits, you wear it. But I'm saying to you, it will not continue business as usual because right now, based on what is happening, we are focusing a lot more on these behaviors. Because the fact is, if you adhere to your civic responsibilities, then it would give government the ability to take care of its civic responsibilities towards you, which is social, economic development. Again, it should not be business as usual, and to those who are not given pay slips, because again, it keeps repeating itself. You will be traced. You will be traced. It will take some time because government is busy with other issues relating to what is happening in St. Martin. But I'm going to tell you this, that definitely for sure, I as a member of Parliament, we have been blamed, you're not doing your job, you're not legislation and so on. I hope when we start to apply the necessary laws that you don't start to sing a different tune, because the fact is, it is our responsibility as government, as Parliament, to ensure that our people don't suffer more than they're suffering already.
And in other news out of Phillipsburg, Prime Minister, the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, will have to say whether the government of St. Martin is prepared for the process of finalizing decolonization and assuming more autonomy to govern when she appears before Parliament soon. She has been requested to answer questions on decolonization by faction leader in Parliament for the United People's Party, the Honorable Grisha Martin Heiliger. Heiliger Martin brought forward her first motion to finalize the decolonization of the Caribbean Netherlands, which started 70 years ago on the anniversary of her 100th day as a sitting Member of Parliament on May the 20th. On June the 8th, she sent a letter to Prime Minister Jacobs questioning her awareness of the events that transpired during the dismantling of the Netherlands Antilles. She asked Prime Minister Jacobs in the letter whether she understood the ramifications for especially the people of St. Martin if the government failed to finalize the decolonization process. Heiliger Martin says that she is convinced that the decolonization is a significant first step in allowing government of the Caribbean islands to indeed manage the affairs of the citizens in accordance with the wishes of the people and not that of the Netherlands, as is often dictated through financial coercion. As I have stated in the past, my goal is to finalize the decolonization process by July the 1st, 2021. I want to again emphasize that I am not looking for an independent St. Martin at this time, but a fully autonomous St. Martin within the kingdom that can finally act in the interest of its people and do what is necessary to protect our economy and way of life. With full autonomy, we can finally begin the work of building our nation on a solid footing and establishing institutions that work to protect the interests of the people of St. Martin, Heiliger Martin stated in part on Tuesday in a press release. And now turning to our weather forecast for this evening, June the 10th, 2020. A slightly unstable atmosphere, light winds, daytime heating, and pockets of low-level moisture are expected to persist over the region through Friday. These conditions will promote the possibility of isolated showers with a low chance of thunderstorms, particularly during the afternoon hours. Meanwhile, the laxed Atlantic high-pressure gradient will generate mostly light southeasterly winds across the region. Seas are expected to remain slight during the next few days. So the outlook through Friday midday is fair to partly cloudy with isolated showers. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, former Member of Parliament says something strange happened to St. Martin after Irma. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And as promised, we will now bring you more of Dr. Luke Mercelina, who was a guest speaker at the YCLU's general membership meeting on Monday last. Dr. Mercelina said that something strange happened after Irma. We had a financial crisis. We had a national crisis where we could have gotten some aid internationally. Now we had COVID-19, and we have a national problem, also with an international dimension. He elaborates further.
Something strange happened after Irma. You have to realize that very good. After Irma, a few islands got destroyed by this severe hurricane. We had a crisis financially. It was not an international crisis, it was a national crisis, though we had the possibility to get some aid from the international world. That happened, but we can discuss how it happened. Now we are after COVID. And we have a national problem with also an international dimension. So we will not get international aid for our national problem because internationally everybody is experiencing the same crisis. So it will have to come from inside. So it will have to come from our own people. After COVID, 40% of the labor market of St. Martin maintained their job and steady income. These are the civil servants, the healthcare providers, and the government-owned companies, and partially the non-governmental organizations that were subsidized by government. Further than the 40% consisting of civil servants, government-owned companies, and healthcare providers, the rest lost their job after COVID. So that means that we have 40% people now with a steady income, and I just said we have to rejump this economy with the 40% that have an income. So what is happening now? The Dutch are proposing now to break the 40% left over after the COVID. That means that you are going to make your country more poor.
And still to come, Member of Parliament for the UP party questions whether the NRPB has policies in place. I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, at the virtual parliamentary meeting on Friday last, June the 5th, 2020, Member of Parliament Omar Otley says he too is a bit irritated and is questioning whether the NRPB has policies in place. He said that it's 3 years since Irma and we are still living on promises and promises. Are there policies and laws that are in place where contractors outside have to work with local contractors? We need to ensure that money stays here in St. Martin, and he expounded.
I too am a bit irritated. It's 3 years since Hurricane Irma, and we are still living off promises and promises and promises. I'm just tired of the prolongations. So with that being said, let's go straight to the questions. St. Martin is in a stage where we are fully right now dependent on World Bank projects, not only for construction, but for the boost of the economy. So my questions, does the NRPB or the World Bank has policies or laws in place where contractors outside have to work with local contractors? Is there laws or policies in place that says contractors have to seek employment on St. Martin, and if the skills are not found in St. Martin, then the skills can be imported? See, one of the things is that I keep preaching it is that we are in a financial situation, and we have over $100-200 million worth of projects lying in the trust fund or the World Bank. We need to ensure that most of this money stays in St. Martin. We need to ensure that the job is being done correctly, I agree, but we need to ensure that the money is being stayed in St. Martin. Another thing that is very interesting, I would like to know why was the contract of the first contractor terminated for the shelters?
And with that, viewers, it brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie from Putin. Thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.